All right, my people. So today we want to break down the benefits of the arrangement of the five pillars. Once you take the test and you get the results rank each of the five pillars because there's five separate tests. So we got the space for the S, you got the psychology for the P, you got the A for authenticity, then you have the C for consciousness of Christ, and the E for energy. And so depending upon the results, that determines which of the five pillars are the most prevalent, are the one that needs to be addressed first. And so the score or the test that has the lowest score. So if you take all five tests and, for example, let's say your score comes in at a 20 for energy, and then everywhere else you score anywhere from, let's say, 25 to 30 points. So the first thing that we are going to address is the lowest score, because the lowest score is the area that is the most critical. That's the space, or that's the place that needs to be addressed first. And so we're addressing each one of the five pillars to establish a holistic way of processing and seeing the world. It's not about removing. It's about managing. It's about understanding. So how do you navigate through the difficulties when you are triggered? How do you manage? How do you navigate through? How do you process when you're disappointed? When something unexpectedly shows up, when something happens that's outside of your control, when something or someone is not meeting your expectations, so to speak. So we all have to understand what is the best way for us to be able to put boots on the ground or take action. There's so much emphasis on learning, and learning is great. Even this, listening to this audio, taking tests, studying, that's kind of a disservice from the perspective of the best way to learn is through real life learned experiences. However, you just don't want to keep making those real life experiences. You don't want to keep just hitting the wall over and over again, because then that leads to discouragement, and you start to believe that, okay, this is not going to work. It's not for me. So the goal is to, we don't want to discourage either one. We don't want to discourage learning. We don't want to discourage taking action. We just want to make sure that we have balance. That we have balance. That you are putting the same amount of energy and effort into taking action as you are into learning. And so when you learn new ways of taking action, bam, that's the key. The key is to, when the trigger comes up, what is a new way of processing that trigger? What is a new way? If you always respond the same way, you're going to always get the same result. And so the goal is, okay, how can I respond differently to this trigger? How can I respond differently to this, negative habit pattern, if you will? How can I respond differently to whatever is happening in my life? And so that's the point. The point is to give you some tools to assist you with processing information, so that way you can have a energy or an aura or ether or this biomagnetic field. So everywhere we go, your energy shows up before you do. So how do we change our energy? Well, we change the E by changing the C, which is the consciousness. So you live on the level of your consciousness. You live on the level of your awareness. So if you have a small consciousness, you're going to have a small awareness, small perception, a small energy field. So the goal is to make sure that your energy field matches your desire fulfilled, or your destiny, or your destiny. So if you're called and gifted to be and do a certain activity, you want to make sure that your energy matches it, because that's coherence. At the end of the day, coherence is when your head, your heart, and your gut is all on the same page, when they all are in alignment. So when you are in alignment with your assignment, again, that's how we are able to produce results, and that's the benefit. The number one benefit of taking and enrolling and going through the space diagnostic system is to be able to establish mental, spiritual, psychological, energy, or etheric coherence. So that way you are the vibrational equivalent, or you are one with source, you're one with God. So that way, even though when you are still not living up, quote unquote, to your highest potential, you understand the things that needs to be taken, the activities, the decisions, the way that you process information. What do you need to be or different And all our structuring and placing these 5 pillars in order so that way when you go through them, whether it takes you 5 hours, 5 days, or 5 weeks, it's really not about time. It's about shine. It's about the energy that you exude. It's about being able to express yourself in an energetic manner that allows you to be able to create space mastery, where you, quote unquote, are able to influence your space with your spiritual, psychological, authentic, conscious energy. S.P.A.C.E. Nothing on the planet is more important than just being comfortable in your own skin. Understanding how you process information. Sure, there's always room for improvement. You can always be and do something better. But you want to bloom where you plant it. You want to love yourself where you are. You want to give yourself props for even operating on a level where you can come in contact with this type of information. So if you're listening to this recording, that simply means that you've probably taken the quiz and downloaded the free ebook on the difference between the Ethiopian Christ and the European Christ. And what we're talking about is the difference between operating in whole brain thinking and departmentalized and fragmented thinking. The goal is to get you to the space where you have conscious awareness of both. You can see that the forest is made up of trees. You can see the trees and you can see the forest. You have you have whole brain, not just left brain or right brain. You have whole brain thinking. You're using all of the attributes and characteristics that have been given to you by God for you to be able to operate and vibrate and go through life and be the best version, the highest version, the most effective version of yourself as you go through it and produce fruit. So as you go through and you've taken the test and you've read the book, the next activity is to go ahead and enroll and pick up, especially if you haven't already picked up the DIAGNOSTICS report. You definitely want to go to the last part because you want the entire package, so that way you're able to get not only the test, not only to take the test, but get the test results in the PDF format, but also get the test results in a private reading that's done by me, the 30-minute audio. Then last but not least, you're working with me one-on-one for the next 5 to 6 months. That's the end game. To be able to pick my brain and tap into the resources where we're able to go through your own report and to work with you based upon your own numbers, based upon your own test results, based upon the current, issues, whether they be, economic issues, whether they be relationship issues, whether they be, psychological and, mental health issues. Whatever the issues are, we're able to address each one of those issues one by one as we go through each one of the 5 pillars, whether regardless of the order, because we take each pillar in order of the pillar that needs to be addressed the most. And we go to the next level of importance. So we start with the level or the pillar that you scored the least, and we address that pillar first until we go through all 5 and establish a ether or an energetic consciousness that's authentic and psychologically and spiritually sound. So we're taking S.P.A.C.E. and we turn it around with E.C.A.P.S. Brothers and sisters, once you tap into that frequency range, that again allows you to operate at the highest level of the game. So that's it, short and sweet. And thank everybody so much for tuning in. God bless you. We'll see you on the next one.